Christmas is supposed to be a time for family unity, isn't it? Well, for me, it turned into a complete disaster. My fiancé, Sarah, 29F, and I have been together for 3 years. We got engaged last summer, and things between us have been wonderful. That is, until my brother Matt revealed his true nature. Let me start by saying Matt has always been the charismatic one. He's the kind of guy everyone gravitates toward because he knows how to charm a room and always steals the spotlight. Growing up, it was a bit irritating, but I never really held it against him. We had our typical sibling squabbles, but I assumed he'd eventually mature. Spoiler, he didn't. It all began at last year's Christmas gathering. My parents hosted a family dinner at their house, and Sarah and I were thrilled to attend since we hadn't seen everyone in a while due to the pandemic and our busy work schedules. I should have sensed trouble the moment we arrived. Matt was already there, joking loudly with my parents, a drink in his hand. As soon as we walked in, his gaze locked onto Sarah, and I immediately felt uneasy. He greeted us, but it was Sarah he showered with attention. "Wow, Sarah, you look incredible," he said, scanning her from head to toe. "My brother's a fortunate guy." I let it slide at first. A compliment's harmless, right? I didn't want to seem overly sensitive about one remark, but it didn't stop there. Throughout the evening, as we sat around sipping drinks and chatting, Matt wouldn't let up. Every time Sarah spoke, he'd interject with some flirtatious comment. "Sarah, your laugh is so charming. That dress looks amazing on you. Your smile just lights up the room." At first, Sarah handled it gracefully. She's polite and skilled at navigating awkward moments, but as the night wore on, I could tell she was growing uneasy. I was too. I gave Matt a pointed look, but he either didn't notice or didn't care. Things escalated at dinner. Matt leaned across the table, locked eyes with Sarah, and said, "If my brother wasn't so lucky, I'd definitely be trying to win you over." The table fell silent. I glanced at my parents, expecting someone to call him out, but they just chuckled like it was a playful quip. Sarah was visibly uncomfortable, so I decided to step in. "Matt, that's enough," I said firmly. "You're crossing a line." Matt just grinned and raised his glass. "Chill, man. I'm just messing around." It didn't feel like messing around to me. Sarah and I exchanged a look, but we tried to push through the rest of the meal. I didn't want to spoil the night for my parents, so I held my tongue. After dinner, we moved to the living room to exchange gifts. Things seemed to settle down, and I thought maybe Matt had gotten the message. I was mistaken. While Sarah was seated on the couch, Matt plopped down uncomfortably close to her. He draped his arm across the back of the couch, leaning in like they were sharing a private chat. I saw Sarah tense up, but before she could move, Matt leaned even closer and whispered something in her ear. I didn't catch the words, but I didn't need to. Sarah's face drained of color, and she abruptly stood up and hurried over to me. "We need to go," she whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed our coats, gave a quick farewell to my parents, and we left. On the drive home, I asked Sarah what Matt had said. That's when she told me everything. Matt had whispered something vile, something about how if things didn't work out with me, she should give him a call and he'd show her what a real man's like. He'd even tried to touch her leg before she pulled away. I was livid. I'd never felt that kind of anger before. Part of me wanted to turn the car around and confront him, but Sarah was shaken, and I didn't want to make it worse. So, I decided to deal with it the next day. The following morning, I called Matt. I was still furious, but hoped he'd own up and apologize. "Matt, what's wrong with you?" I began. "You made Sarah uncomfortable last night, and what you said was way out of line." There was a pause, then Matt laughed. "You're blowing this out of proportion," he said dismissively. "Sarah's a grown woman. She can handle a little teasing." Teasing? Was he serious? I couldn't believe my ears. "That wasn't teasing, Matt. That was harassment," I said. Matt sighed, sounding irritated. "Look, bro, don't get so worked up. She's just playing coy. Women like a bit of attention." That was the final straw. I told him if he didn't apologize to Sarah and stop acting like a creep, I was done with him. No more brotherly connection, no more family gatherings. Done. Matt didn't take me seriously. He brushed it off, saying I was being dramatic. "You're really going to cut me off over this? You'll get over it," he said smugly, as if I'd just snap out of it. But I wasn't going to let this go. I hung up and made my decision. Matt was out of my life. No more toxic behavior, no more boundary violations. I was finna.